Greetings and welcome to Pickled Watermelon Rinds, a guilty pleasure podcast featuring Antie Joan and Ontie, providing our zesty and marginally mature take on current events, pop culture, and trends. Now we invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Well, hello, Antie Joan.
Well, hi, Auntie. What up with you?
Oh, goodness. Well,
Goodness has nothing to do with it.
I went to the grocery store today. So first I had to park a million miles away because I had Killian with me and I wanted to park in shade. And I've talked about that before, whereas the Safeway in Louisville doesn't really have shade anywhere in their goddamn parking lot. Not at the hour I go. In the mornings, it's all sun. So I literally had to park on the other side of that. What is it? Ascent, the church or whatever that's there. That used to be the Sam's Club.
Oh, you went down there.
Yeah, I had to park on the other side of that, getting closer to
my.
McDonald's, like over that way, or the old Kohl's over that side, and under. So he was in full shade, but I had to hoof it over to the Safeway, and then with all my bags, I had to hoof it back. But it was a good workout. It was a good workout.
When you come down to go to that store, and if you're doing it that early in the morning, you've got the passcode to my garage door. You could just come and let him in the house and leave him here while you go do that.
Well, we went for a walk. So I like combined everything. The whole reason I even went down, because I was actually going to go to the Safeway up in Idaho Springs, was because I needed gas. So it's like I wanted to go to Costco to get gas. I'm like, well, if I'm doing that, then I'm taking him with me and we're going to do the walk around that little park.
Oh, yeah.
And then I did stop at Whole Paycheck. And I have one thing, and I haven't been there in a long time. I've really been trying to forego going there, but it was that, or I'd have to venture all the way back into Boulder to go to Sprouts. And I was like, nope, Whole Foods is right here. I get that I'm, really trying not to give them a lot of business these days. It was way too convenient. I couldn't help me. I had to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at the Whole Paycheck, my tofu used to be $1.79 and it's up to $1.99 now. So it only went up 20 cents, but I haven't bought it there in a long time and I know Sprouts had theirs on sale for $1.69, which is basically their normal price anyway, unless theirs has gone up. Because I did notice it was in their flyer for $1.69. I'm like, well, that's the price it always is. So I don't know if theirs went up and it's just on sale. I don't know, because I haven't been in a bit. But then I went over to the Safeway, did my crazy parking stupidity, and then ran into the Safeway. And you're just never in a million years going to guess what I did. I had to talk about it because I had to get toilet paper. Okay? It was on sale. I had my coupon for the Cottonelle, like we talked about last week, how I'm going back to my Cottonelle and da-da-da-da. I buy the toilet paper. It was on sale still. Well, not all of it was on sale, but anyway, still it was $2 off. I'm like, fine, I need toilet paper. I'm getting it. I get it. I get home. I go to take it out of the fucking car, and I fucking bought Quilted Northern again. How the fuck did I do that? Thankfully, it was still on sale, so that's I didn't, that was fine. But I'm like, you have got to be shitting me. I'm like, I have to tell Antie Joan this. It's on my list as Cottonelle. I looked at the coupon, the digital coupon, and it was Cottonelle and brain fart. The thing is, I like the purple packaging Cottonelle, and Quilted Northern is purple packaging. I think in my crazy brain, I'm just looking for purple, and I grabbed, fucking Quilted Northern again. I don't even know what to say.
When you said when you got home,
didn't notice it until I got home.
I thought you were going to say maybe you left it in the cart.
Oh.
Because sometimes when they put stuff on the lower, it's easy to overlook it.
Nope.
But
nope.
How much did you get?
I got a big thing of it because I always
just
get
one big thing.
Just one though. Yeah. I didn't go crazy, but I'm just like I nearly fell over when I saw it. I'm like, how did you do this again? So.
Oh, before I forget, how much was the gas at the Costco?
$2.87.
Oh,
Little high.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I've seen it at other gas stations, like $3.23, and so Yeah.
Yeah. It's a holiday weekend. I know better than to get gas before a
Yeah.
holiday weekend or during a holiday weekend. I brain farted it. I only had 80 miles to go as of yesterday. I had friends come up yesterday. We went out to a restaurant. And when I got back, I noticed I was like, oh, you need to get gas. I'm like, shit. So that was my big driver for coming down the hill today. Plus, I did really want to take him for a walk. And anyway,
Well, just remember the options here if ever
well,
you're
thank
gonna.
you.
You're welcome.
I
You're welcome.
appreciate that. I appreciate that. And my deck is so close to being done. So
Oh.
close now, Auntie Joan. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel for the deck. So just some railings on the stairs and the gates on all the staircases, the 3 staircases, and they're done with the deck. And then the retaining wall going underneath the deck. I don't think they'll finish it this week. Maybe. I just don't know what kind of crew he's going to bring. And if they're really coming tomorrow, because if they don't come tomorrow, I don't even want them to come until the next week because it's a holiday weekend. Not that I plans on Saturday with you and at Auntie Mary's. I just want the guys to have a break. They should have a long weekend. They don't need to be coming up here for that.
I know.
So
They probably got plans too anyway.
yes, I hope so. Getting there, and then they'll start the siding. It was supposed to start next week, but thunderstorms every single day
Boy, that
is in the
surprises
forecast.
me. I saw like over the weekend they're talking about rain.
So we'll see. Leave it up to them if they feel safe doing it, or maybe come for, because it's the usual. All morning long, it's supposed to be nice, and then from noon on, it's you never know when the storms are coming. So
That's kind of typical Colorado weather
Exactly.
in the summertime. Yeah.
So that's why they can decide if they want to hike it all the way up here and just work in the morning and hightail it back down the hill once the rain starts. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. Getting there slowly, but you not so much.
No. Well, I'm still trying to get my basement finished. He was supposed to do it the week before last, but he got COVID supposedly. And I said, well, take another week before you come back. And so he was going to come today, but supposedly was finishing up another job. And so now it's supposed to be tomorrow, but it might be more than one day. But I'll be glad when it's all done and be just about time for another sewer package. Back up.
No, because you're going to stay ahead of that.
Yeah, well, I just had it done too. So yeah.
When?
Should be good. The Roto-Rooter thing.
When did you just have it done?
I don't know, 3 weeks ago.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Did we talk about it? I don't think we did.
We did.
Uh-oh.
We did.
Huh. All right.
Yeah, you thought I should get it done every 3 months or get it done in 3 months because I had it done after winter.
Yes.
But I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
But my tenants that had been there, the birdies with their little nest, they moved out because they had babies. And I think around Easter they hatched. And then a couple of weeks after that, then I think they flew the nest. And then another family moved in. They sublet to this other family, I think, or maybe it was the same one. And then they all of a sudden disappeared. And at the porch, in the past, when something's happened, like the nest has been knocked over or whatever, I see it. And the nest is still up there, and I haven't seen any eggshells or anything. So I don't know what's going on. But anyway, then yesterday there were like 3 or 4 potential tenants flying around. Now today there's somebody sitting in the nest again. So this is more activity than it's ever gotten before.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe it's that bird flu that's causing them to reproduce at a quicker rate because their population is declining.
Maybe.
It's all science.
There you go. And we are nothing if we're not scientists.
Oh, we are. We are. And if we don't know it, Wikipedia will tell me. Right, Auntie?
That's right. Oh, and my nephew's been playing lacrosse, at least for the past couple years, if not 3 years now. I can't remember. But he's playing for his high school currently. And because he did like a intramural league before. I just can't remember how many years he did that. And I just had to give him a bit of a shout out because, man, he is doing so well. It's like night and day difference from his intramural days. And even from the start of the season till now, he's running really fast. He's
Really?
engaging. He's being more aggressive, and it is sadly an aggressive sport with very little padding. They do have big honking helmets on, but no other padding other than that. But he's playing really, really well. His team they're about half and half for the season, half wins, half losses. He's playing for junior varsity right now. I'm guessing next year he'll get onto the varsity team as a junior at Fairfield Ward. They are the Mustangs.
Woo-hoo.
They are the Mustangs. Exactly. But it's good to see his confidence building up and he's getting stronger. And like I said, I think this last game is the first time I really noticed how fast he's running now.
That's incredible.
Really getting quick there. And he seems to be enjoying it. I love that I get to watch. They video record them. You can watch it live or you can watch the recording later. Now, the videographer isn't, I'm guessing it's somebody from the AV club, if they have such a thing anymore these days. I don't even know if they do. They're not the best cameramen, but they're learning.
Maybe they'll get better too. Now, you're sure you're watching the right kid?
Yes, I am. I know his number.
Okay.
So, yes. And they also, for some reason, the athletic director at Fairfield Ward, for some crazy reason, doesn't allow them to keep score just for the JV games. So I can see the scoreboard on my screen in the little like sub window. And so I usually get to see the time, because it's 12 minutes a quarter. And, so you watch the time countdown and all that stuff. And they'll tell you which quarter you're in, but no score. It's really annoying. And I don't know the reasoning behind it, but they're adamant about it because we've all complained.
Is it because they don't want them to focus on the score, but on the game? I mean, the play. I don't know.
Sports is all about the score. There are winners and losers in this life.
I agree with you. But, some kids today just can't take it.
Suck it up. The reason they can't take it is because they've been coddled. That's a whole other thing.
I do have to say, I don't get how anybody can play lacrosse. Throwing that little ball into a little net on a stick.
It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me. And they whack each other with the stick and all that. And I'm like, wait, there's no padding. Like, that's gotta hurt.
I guess they're not.
And they
coddled
check
so
each
much.
other, like almost like a hockey. Like they check. And I'm like,
yeah.
Some of them fall on their asses. Like I'm like, it's a pretty aggressive sport.
Of course, I did send you that video of the rugby fella, didn't I?
Yes.
Having the best legs in sports.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was getting an assist, being lifted up by his shorts.
Yeah, atomic wedgie.
Higher, so yeah, big time wedgie.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh-wee.
I can't believe he was okay with that.
I think. They wear those protectors, so maybe they got them both in the front and in the back.
I don't know. Yikes.
Ew. Well, good on your nephew.
Yes. Very excited for him. Yeah, a couple more years he still has I get to watch, so that'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, maybe if he really gets good, he'll get scholarships or whatever.
I just hope he's still liking it. That's the most important thing, because not worth it if he doesn't. But he seems to be liking it so far, so it's all good.
Good. Makes it all better.
Yes.
More fun if you like it. So, Monday nights, it's become a habit of mine to watch The Daily Show with Jon Stewart on the Comedy Channel. And usually each week he does an interview with an author of some new book coming out.
Oh.
Not always.
Oh, okay.
But, somebody who's got something going on in the news or whatever. And he spends quite a while talking to him. It's not just like 5 minutes. He'll go on for like 15, 20 minutes to really kind of get out what he found interesting. So this past week, he had this young gentleman on by the name of Patrick McGee, and he has just written a book. It's just been published called Apple in China. This interview, I was shocked at how much Apple had its hands in China becoming so well off.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Patrick McGee is a business journalist, and he had been a writer for Financial Times since 2013. And he reported from Hong Kong, Germany, and California. So he was Financial Times lead cover author, journalist from 2019 to 2023. Previously that, he worked for the Wall Street Journal in New York. So in this book, he interviewed 200 people, former Apple executives and engineers, to reveal how they chose to anchor its supply chain in China, which ended up making Apple vulnerable to China's regime whims. And we'll kind of get into that in a little bit. What really got me with this interview, with this discussion, was the amount of money that Apple has invested in China. According to Patrick McGee, China was basically built as a country by Apple. He came across several internal documents, interviewed these 200 people. From all that, he was able to figure out that Apple was investing by 2015 $55 billion a year
Wow.
into China. They didn't own these factories that built the phones or computers, but they had, as he called it, maniacal control over the machinery within those factories. So, in essence, Apple chose the machines, chose the buildings, chose everything, but it went under the head of China. It went under whoever it was in China that, was got the legal naming of it. Some of the factories, they treated the workers as their arms and legs. So they'd say, this person does this person does that, you do this, they do that. So Apple also determined what each job was going to do. So the number of people that they trained is 28 million people.
Wow.
Larger than the labor force of California since 2008. And the number of billions of dollars they spend on machinery is $14 billion. $55 billion per year is their investment, and a lot of that goes to training costs for the employees in China. Now they train 28 million, but then I guess the current number of employees at Apple in China is 3 million. That's still a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think back when IBM was such a big player. I don't know if they even had 500,000 employees, at their height. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so these 3 million people are assembling iPhones and other Mac products in China. And those aren't just low level installer jobs. There's some that are unskilled, which are the ones that they want to bring back to the US. But there's also lots of PhDs at Foxconn. Do you remember Foxconn?
Sounds familiar.
I'm not sure exactly how Foxconn and Apple synced up, but I do remember reading about employees at Foxconn back, I don't know, 10 years ago or 15 years ago, were committing suicide at ridiculous rates. They were jumping from their dormitory buildings, from the roofs, from their windows, and Foxconn ended up having to put in safety nets so that if they chose to jump, they wouldn't hit the ground.
Mm-hmm.
They were cramming these employees into dormitory rooms. They said, one of the things I read said 12 per room, and another one said, well, they had to cut it back to 8 per room. And these weren't huge rooms. And I remember seeing, boy, it was one of the exposés on the news one night. They showed some of what some of these employees were dealing with. And they were pretty much forced to work overtime. So like 12-hour shifts. They would get back to their little dorm. If they had a hot plate, they were lucky. I guess they had cafeterias,
Mm-hmm.
but it was basically work and sleep. Work
Mm-hmm.
and sleep. So there's talk about how great the vocational training is in China. But according to Patrick, the vocational school in China is Apple.
Mm-hmm.
They do the training. This $55 billion that we talked about per year, that's their investment in China, Apple in China. He couldn't find any corporate equivalent for how much someone was investing in another country. So he went to governmental efforts and he looked at the CHIPS Act, which is that Biden plan that was going to bring back chip manufacturing to the US.
Mm-hmm.
And that was $53 billion over 4 years. And then he said, well, let's try the Marshall Plan when the United States went to Europe and invested in building back Europe after World War II. He converted the amount that was spent in the Marshall Plan from 1948 to 1952 to what that amount would be in 2015 dollars.
$2025 or $2015?
$2015, because I'm not sure when I think I guess he just finished the book last year, but I mean, doing his,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So that amount the U.S. spent in the Marshall Plan from 1948 to 1952, converted to $2015, is half the annual spending of what Apple's investing in China. So the U.S. was investing that money in 16 countries where Apple is investing in one
Mm-hmm.
country. One question is, how did China go from such poverty 50 years ago into the world's greatest maker of military weaponry and advanced electronics? And according to Patrick, a big portion of the disquieting answer is year in and year out, Apple taught them. He goes on to say that in 2010, the demand for the iPhone in China was over the top, but they only had 4 Apple stores for 1.4 billion people. So that's one Apple store per 350 million people. So and it was quite the status symbol to have an iPhone in China too. So what some of these entrepreneurs, you might say, thought they would do is they were paying migrants by the busload to go over to one of these 4 stores, stand in line, 7,000 people at a time, and buy as many iPhones as they could. So then they would take those phones and then go to other cities with, like, there's this one, Chongqing. The population is 32 million, and they didn't even have an Apple store. And they would find ways legally and illegally to sell these iPhones for more money. Then they got into this whole controversy because they were reselling these iPhones. Apple had this replacement plan where they said that if something dies or whatever, they will replace the phone. Well, some of these phones, they're selling millions of them, and all of a sudden, they're having all these phones that they're supposedly having to replace. And then Apple said, well, we're not going to do it for China. They said that they would repair rather than replace. So then there got into this big fight with China. China was saying that they were discriminating against them and all this stuff. So they trained all these engineers with all these electronic skills to meet Apple's requirements. And then there ended up being 3 other phone companies that were started in competition with Apple.
Mm-hmm.
And they started because Apple trained all these engineers and stuff, they were also supplying their competition with highly trained engineers and what have you. So it's just I was just shocked, and it was just kind of hard for me to take all those numbers in, how much they spent. And now they're saying that Apple is going to spend $500 billion back in the United States. And Patrick says, where and how? And he says that Apple says that they'll spend the 500 billion in the US and they will create 20,000 jobs. So he says, like, how bad could a government program be if it spent 500 billion and all it got was 20,000 jobs? And if it were true, you would think factories would be springing up all over the place. He said that Apple pays $100 billion a year on share buybacks. And he thinks, and he says 70% of their investors are in America. So his educational guess is that they're going to call doing these share buybacks and paying it back to the investors, their reinvestment in the United States. That doesn't make sense.
That didn't make sense to me, no.
Okay, so the investors in America, 70% of Apple's investors are United States in America. Apple's saying that they're going to put $500 billion back into America, into United States.
Mm-hmm.
He's thinking that since Apple already spends $100 billion a year on share buybacks, that they would just increase the number of share buybacks. And rather than actually investing it in building factories and building jobs, that a lot of this would go into just the share buybacks and in essence paying their investors rather than building jobs and what have you. So I know how much you like Apple products. And I remember those Foxconn employees committing suicide back then, which is one of the reasons I didn't want to get an Apple phone for as long as I did. But I guess that's kind of gone by the wayside now. At least for me, it did. So all these numbers, did that kind of just zone you out?
Well, I guess, I mean, did he, trying to think of a way to say this, like, is this just an expose, or is there a, like, I guess I'm still a little bit lost as to, I mean, the numbers are shocking, don't get me wrong, they are, but at the same time, like, was the point of the book just to be an expose, or is there a point to the book? Other than
Well,
that.
in the discussion he had with Jon Stewart, he talked about how it worked into, I guess, putting that much money into another country and one that is not one of our friendly nations. You're kind of opening up to be at their mercy. You know, he goes into supply chain and all this other stuff, which is, when you talk about numbers and stuff, I just kind of glaze over. And but when he started talking about these numbers, I had to listen up because it just blows my mind that one company like Apple could make such an impact on China, and now they're being pretty much at the mercy of China and what, because they've got all their technology, they've got all their, they don't have it alone, but I mean, you know, they can. He went on to talk about how this technology that these engineers have learned through Apple, they're using on electronic vehicles. Tesla is employing a lot of former Apple people. It could very easily be used for military. The technology could be used for military weapons, drones, and what have you. And to think that Apple, you know, would have had that much impact, it's just, it's scary. It's scary.
It is. I guess my thing is, I know we have the Fair Trade Act and all that, but this level of investment in a foreign entity that is not one of our allies shouldn't be allowed. Flat out.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you.
And how this is only now coming to light after all these years is very concerning. But is it just coming to light? I guess that's where I'm not quite clear. I mean, is this really like the first time these numbers have ever been really thought through? And
I don't know about that, but I know that he was privy to some intercompany or intra-company communications.
Right. So is this like a whistleblower book?
No, I don't think so. I think most of
still
yeah, I think
little not sure what.
Well,
I haven't
it's
read
just-
it, so I don't. I can't.
yeah, I haven't read it either.
I don't know.
I wouldn't say a whistleblower, maybe a wake up. I mean, sometimes it takes something like this to get people to pay attention. I don't know. If I hadn't seen him on Jon Stewart's show, I would never have heard about it. Well, I might have heard about it, but I mean, it wouldn't have gotten to me like it did with his interview. And we'll put a link out there if you want to watch it. He does it so much better than I ever could. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it also goes back to the old adage of, you know, you never have a single point of failure. So the fact that Apple put all their eggs in that one basket is, I mean, that's business 101. You don't do that.
That was something else he talked about was the subcontractors, the vendors that Apple would use.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if Apple changed one part of the phone, if they had some vendor, some company making that particular part of the phone that they no longer were going to use, then that company would go out of business because that iPhone was their whole business. So then they had to say, okay, whatever you get from us, make sure you get it from another company. So that caused them to go to their competitors, these three other phone companies in China, and do business with them also. So
Who are the other three companies?
Huawei, Xiaomi, and there was another one. I don't know who they are. I've never heard of them before.
Hmm.
Not that I'm up on all that stuff, but yeah, there's three main competitors to Apple in China now, phone companies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one thing he said too was that there's, as far as operating systems goes, there's iOS and there's Android, and then there's this other operating system that these three other competitors are using.
Mm.
And he thinks that one is going to end up taking over the phones in China.
Hmm.
I found it quite interesting and shocking, especially when he put it in real terms, like, that Marshall deal and the amount of money that we spent rebuilding Europe. And, it's all twice that was going to China. So by one company.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you get a chance, listen to it, watch it, because I think it's an excellent interview. And he is kind of cute, Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
And he does have a pretty good sense of humor. He and John do pretty well together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Oh, well, yeah. It lit a fire under me.
To do what?
Well, nothing right now. But just to be more just
But that's what I mean. That's why I'm trying to understand what this book is trying to evoke. Just a conversation, actual action. Are they taking this to someone to like get something done about it? Are they?
well, I got a feeling it's going to be number one on the New York Times bestseller list.
Every fucking book is, every celebrity book is number one on. Who
Well,
gives
he's
a
not
shit?
a
That is
celebrity
ridiculous.
per se.
I know. I'm
but-
just saying that getting the number one. I mean, that happens
Speaking of
all the
that,
time.
are you sick and tired of all these celebrities writing children's books?
I don't read children's books, so I don't give a shit what they
Oh
do.
my gosh. Well, yeah, I guess you don't watch the interview shows like I do either, but I swear everybody goes on and they've just written a children's book.
Yeah.
And it's,
All right. So besides him, getting on the number one bestsellers list from New York Times, I'm trying to understand what he's
informational,
trying to get out of this. Like, what is the?
I think to bring to
Just awareness?
to coordinate all this information and to put it in a concise receptacle
Mm-hmm.
and put it out for distribution.
So there's no call to action. It's just here's the
No, I don't think
information.
so. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Knowledge is power, That's what they say.
Only if you do something with it. Like that's
Not
what it,
necessarily. Well, you don't have to act on it right away.
then okay, so
You
we
don't-
know.
You don't I
And
mean,
now
you
what?
don't read stuff, you don't hear stuff and just put it in the back of your mind and then think about it later and say, "Oh yeah, that sounds familiar. I bet something else is going on here."
Well, sure. I mean, you asked me if I remembered Foxconn, and I said it sounded familiar to me. So, to me, with the numbers being as shocking as they are, it seems like there should be some level of call to action. Like, is he going to, go in front of Congress? Is he going like what? Or we're just putting the information out there and hope somebody else picks up the ball and runs with it?
Well, that's
Is
how it
that-
starts a lot of times. I'm just trying to think offhand of other books that have sparked a call to action and
It almost
know,
didn't. To me, it almost didn't warrant a book. It
oh
warranted
my
the call to.
gosh.
It warranted a call to action. More.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
Like getting it out. Like, oh, okay. I just feel like it's.
Well,
I don't know.
I'm just basing what I've said on his interview with Jon Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
The entire book goes into much more detail, I'm sure, about how it was built, different political things that happened. And yeah, so, I mean, the Civil War. Why have a book about the Civil War, for crying out loud? I mean, we're not going to do anything about it.
What do you mean?
Well,
the Civil War was doing something about it. Like,
no, but I mean, why? What do we care now? I mean, that was then.
But something actually came, like it was the war. That's like,
Yeah,
this doesn't have a culmination.
But what do we care about? Why should we care about it now? I mean, that was then. This is now. It's like.
But nothing came of this, is all I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
not yet. It just came out.
Yeah, but the books were written about the Civil War after the Civil War happened. Do you see what I mean? Like,
you don't
so
think
now
there
this
was
is a
other
preemptive
stuff that
book
came out? Yeah, well,
that just hasn't.
I think we're going to get off on tangents here because.
Well, we're allowed to have a difference of opinion. I'm just saying.
Well,
that
I don't understand. I mean, it's
I think this should have gone to Congress. I think he should have done something with that information instead of just publishing a book that he's clearly going to make money off of. Good on you. It's not fixing the issue. It's just calling the issue out. And
why does he have to fix the issue?
He doesn't personally have to fix it. He should he should be bringing it to people who can fix the issue.
Well,
like
that's
Congress.
why they've got the book. That's why he's got the book. So they can use that as a jumping off place if they want to take action.
And you think Congress is all watching Jon Stewart to know that this book even exists?
No, it's got nothing to do. I'm just saying.
Right.
This book is, I mean, there's already tons of reviews out there about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's not like I stumbled on anything.
No, of course not. It seems very whistleblowery to me.
And is that wrong?
No.
Is that bad?
But putting it into a book isn't getting it done. Is my point. Why wouldn't you take all of this crazy information that he's learned and compiled and bringing it to Congress so that actually something can be done about it?
So all these books written by people who had been in the Trump administration during his first term.
Yeah, look at all the stuff that's happened because of that. So they put out all these books. Look at all the books that have been put out about that. What has been done? Nothing. That's my point. So write a book, nothing happens.
So you're saying that these people should never have divulged this information.
They should have done it in real time.
They did.
They didn't. They waited until they were out of office, and then they wrote a book. They should have been calling this out in real time to make change happen. Because now they've written a book, and what's happened? Nothing. He's still in office.
They shouldn't have bothered writing the book.
Is that what I'm saying?
No, but what you're saying is if they don't do something when it's happening, why write a book about it later?
Well, if they're actually expecting a cause and effect, there is no effect.
That's not necessarily, they're not necessarily causing.
So what's the point of doing it?
Exactly. So why have a book about the Civil War?
Because that actually
So what?
The Civil War was a thing. That's history.
But so what? What do we care about it now, today? We can't do anything about it, so why bother?
We are doing something about it during the war. Like, that's a bad example.
We're not doing anything about it now.
It's a bad example. That's a bad example. I'm sorry.
Well, what's a good example?
I think we've been talking about it. I don't know why you're fixated on the Civil War all of a sudden. So I'm not quite sure.
Well, I'm just trying to come up with something that, people write about stuff. They don't expect necessarily somebody to jump on it and act on it. They just want to get the information out there.
But this is clearly
so it's available
a potentially
for historical benefit.
All right. Apparently I'm not allowed to talk, so we can end right now.
Oh, I think you've been talking quite a bit.
Apparently not. You're yelling at this point, so there's certainly...
Well, I just wanted to get heard, that's all.
You've been saying the same thing over and over again.
And so have you. And so have you. And you're even getting a little flushed there.
No, I'm not. Wow. Okay, so I'm only allowed to agree with Antie Joan. Got it.
Oh, man. I
Got
don't know
it.
where you come up with that. Where
Got
did you
it.
come up with that?
Got it.
I'm supposed to agree with you.
No.
Yes.
No, because I'm just voicing my opinion on this, and
that's what I was doing.
And you're getting all hostile about it, and I'm just like,
I didn't get hostile. I just tried to.
Okay, we'll ask our listener. Please call in and let us know if you've ever heard Antie Joan talk the way she's talked on this episode before, and then you tell me if you think she's being hostile or not.
Yeah, and also
Okay.
tell us if you think that maybe it's okay to write a book about information and not expect somebody to have a call to action.
Okay. Criminal activity should just be written down and that's it. We shouldn't
Uh-huh.
try and fix anything. So
That's
again,
not
it
what I
just
said. That's not what I said.
it is. You said there shouldn't necessarily be a call to action. So we should just let it go.
Exactly. It's putting the
Okay.
information out there.
Okay. So we just let it go now. We've heard it and we're good. That's all we needed to do.
Auntie.
That's what you
You're
just
totally
said. There's no effect.
No, you're totally misconstruing what I'm saying. And our time is almost up here, I see.
It is.
Thank God.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Anything
So
else
wanna,
for our listener today?
Yeah, you want to cut out the.
See?
You want to. I was going to say you want to cut out the last 15 minutes.
I want to close this episode. Anything else for our listener today?
No, I'm fine.
All right, then. That wraps it for a very interesting pickled watermelon rinds episode. This is Auntie signing off.
And Antie Joan saying bye-bye now.
We thank you for listening. And remember, when life eats away at your core, make pickled watermelon rinds.